All right, here's our 6 people. All right, let's get started.
Yeah, I get it.
Let's go.
There's no way to pause it.
Yeah, all right.
Is it playing?
Yes.
It is.
Guys, go.
All right, we stopped at the end. Okay, sweet. All right, 2.8 million. That's the number of difference in votes between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton in the last presidential election back in 2016. And this is the largest gap that's ever been recorded. In fact, according to Sharma Yancey from U.S. News and World Report on November 2nd of 2017, this unprecedented gap has caused many people to question whether or not the Electoral College should even exist. And so today we're going to be talking about the Electoral College. We're going to be talking about why it was founded, how it functions today, and some of the perceived issues with the system. So first, let's look at why the Electoral College existed in the first place. According to Mark Schumann of History Central, the reason why the Electoral College was founded was twofold. First, because people were afraid in politics in the 1700s that the average citizen was incapable of voting properly. So what this means is that if there was a tyrannical ruler who would have been bad for the people, he could have persuaded the common man to vote for him whenever people that were more educated would have recognized that that was a bad decision. So by having electors do the voting instead of the people, it would solve that problem. And secondly, it was because they wanted to protect the rights of small states. Because if it was a 100% popular vote, urban areas which carried more of the people, but not necessarily a larger percentage of the interest in the interest groups in voting, would have a larger advantage whenever it came time to elect a president. Secondly, we're going to look at how the Electoral College works today. So whenever somebody casts a vote in a presidential election, they don't actually vote for the president, they vote for electors. And every state has a certain number of electors depending on the number of people in the state based on population. And so the U.S. News and World Report tells us in January 3rd of 2018 that this group that you're electing from each state is going straight to electors, not to the president. What this means is that whenever I go and vote for the president, I'm voting for the Republican candidate or the Democratic candidate to win, and then what I'm representing is I'm really saying I want my elector to vote for this person in the presidential race. In any given state, whichever candidate wins the majority of the vote, all of the electors of that state are then supposed to go vote for that presidential candidate. They don't have to, but it's expected that they do, unless there was some sort of serious issue that they found with that candidate, and that's why that system's in place. Finally, we're going to look at some of the perceived issues with the way that the Electoral College functions. So, according to the New York Times, on November 10th, 2016, an issue that many people find at the Electoral College is that it sometimes allows for somebody to win the presidency while not winning the popular vote, which means that most people don't vote for them, but they're still president. However, the New York Times points out that this has only happened 5 times in the history of the American nation. It happened in 1824, 1876, 1888, 2000, and 2016. And so even though this problem can occur, it really has not been occurring often, and it's not a consistent theme. And some would even argue that this occurring is actually good for American democracy when it happens on the occasion, because it shows that the interests of smaller states are being protected, and the evidence for that is the fact that the presidential candidate didn't win the popular vote. Now, of course, if this happened in every single election, there would definitely be a huge problem that needs to be addressed. So ultimately, when we re-examine this issue of the Electoral College and how it works, we've looked at 3 things. The history of why it was founded, how it works today is we vote for electors and then they vote for the president, instead of the popular vote determining who wins. And third and finally, some of the perceived issues with the Electoral College. So even though Hillary Clinton won the popular vote by 2.8 million people, that's ultimately all part of the system of American politics that's designed to protect the interest of small states. Thank you. All right, now let's see our 6